Now that we're 3 seasons into Amazon Prime's hit television series Invincible, I think it's no secret that the animation and power scaling are likely the show's 2 greatest weaknesses. There are certainly a lot of moments where it looks like we're just dragging still images across the screen, and moments where Mark struggles with fodder villains that should in no way, shape, or form be messing with him physically. Now, I won't sit up here and try to tell you that these complaints about the show are unfounded. They are legitimate, and the animation and smaller fight sequences could be handled much, much better. I mean, just look at the season 3 finale. The Conquest fight looked gorgeous in comparison to the rest of the show. Or even the brief shots of the evil Invincible variants as they looked on at all the destruction they had caused. There's moments here and there of beautiful visual style in Invincible, but the fact that they only happen here and there in important moments tells me that the animation team is likely too small and in a time crunch to get these episodes made, which of course leads to the animators needing to decide what scenes get the most work put into them, meaning a lot of the more dialogue-heavy sequences and even some fights get a lack of attention and detail. And this does frustrate me to a degree, because just take a show like Castlevania for example. That was also an American-made animated series and had absolutely beautiful visuals from start to finish. And don't even get me started on how good Invincible could look if it were an anime. If you gave Invincible Jujutsu Kaisen or even Demon Slayer level animation, it'd be over for every other series. But despite these glaring weaknesses, the show is still uber popular and has amassed a massive fan base over the course of its 3-season run so far. And I know it's popular to meme on or make fun of the show's animation and Mark losing all of his battles, but people still consume the content like crazy, so there has to be some underlying reason as to why they view it. Not everyone is simply hate watching so they can complain about the visuals or Mark losing a bunch of fights. So today I want to discuss why I think the show resonates with people so much and how it's managing to succeed on such a high level, despite being far outclassed by other animated series when it comes to the visual side of things, and at times having questionable at best power scaling. The first thing that I believe is prevalent to the success of Invincible is subversion. Now, being subversive or different doesn't just magically make something good, but in this case, with the superhero genre being so oversaturated, Invincible feels like a breath of fresh air. And it's not because people are sick of superhero content. The concept of superhero fatigue, in my opinion, is hogwash. People love tales of enhanced beings. They just want new stories. Series like Invincible and The Boys gained popularity partially because they don't follow the same old recycled formula that, to be brutally honest, the MCU has beaten to the ground over recent years. You know exactly the plot structure I'm talking about. They'll introduce us to a hero or heroes, that hero or team will lose some kind of fight, the main characters will then go on some kind of personal journey, and ultimately have a rematch with the villain and come out on top this time around, ending the movie on a happy note. And this constantly repeated format, in my assessment, created a desire for superhero content to tackle darker, more mature themes, and to just simply be different, which is a pop culture environment perfectly suited for Invincible to thrive. I mean, arguably Mark's biggest thematic progression over the course of these 3 seasons was his eventual acceptance of the fact that he sometimes needs to take a villain's life. Sometimes you need to metaphorically pull the trigger to avoid more bloodshed. And the show handles mature themes and moral questions like this, while still maintaining that mystical charm that superhero content often has. I mean, think back to what initially made you want to watch Invincible in the first place. For me, what truly hooked me into the story was seeing Omniman lay waste to the Guardians of the Globe. That fight was absolutely brutal and left me in awe. Like, how could you not keep watching after seeing that fight go down? I simply needed answers. Why would this universe's version of Superman do such a thing? And also, this immediately strayed away from the MCU standard format, as this universe's version of the Avengers all died by the end of the first episode, and only one of them ever came back. And even when he did make his return late into season 1, he still lost to Omniman. And I think the show also did a great job of leveraging the mystery of why Omniman did this into a hook to keep us watching. A hook that felt completely unique to this show and the superhero genre. And by the time we got to the reveal at the end of season 1, I had grown so attached to Mark as a character that I just needed to keep watching. And while the show pauses for all kinds of side plots and storylines, the core journeys at the center of everything are stories that will always resonate with viewers. Mark is on an epic coming-of-age journey, and Omniman is beginning an arc of redemption. But because these classic story arcs are taking place in such a uniquely dark, emotional, and mature setting, they truly hit home and are simply entertaining to watch unfold, and importantly feel fresh within the superhero landscape. There's also a certain level of brutality that Invincible can portray because it's an animated series that simply just can't be captured in live action. Shows like The Boys do their best to match it, but I can't think of any live-action superhero fight that honestly comes anywhere close to the brutality of Mark's clash with Conquest. And when you really think about it, people like me, nerds if you will, grew up watching childish superhero cartoons, and now as adults we still have a desire to watch superhero content, but we want the content to mature with us. We want the content to make us think and emotionally resonate with our adult minds, while still giving us that fun charm that the cartoons we grew up on had. And I think this is who Invincible was written for. It was written for people who had either become tired with standard comic content, or people who wanted a more mature version of the content they used to love. The voice acting is also phenomenal, and I know this is an obvious one for the success of an animated series to some respect, but just think about Steven Yeun's performance during the Conquest fight. He legit sounded like he was slipping into insanity as he headbutted Conquest relentlessly. He perfectly portrays Mark becoming bloodlusted as he desperately tries to kill Conquest with every ounce of energy he has left. And this level of voice acting is largely on display all throughout the series. I don't think you could have casted a better actor to play Mark. J.K. Simmons is great as Omni-Man, Aaron Paul knocked it out of the park as Powerplex. There's not really a single casting that I could think of that's subpar throughout the entire series. To circle back to the Omni-Man redemption arc for a minute, I think how well the show was pulling this storyline off so far also speaks to its incredible writing and narrative brilliance. About a year ago, I got my girlfriend to watch this show after season 2 had been released, and from the end of episode 1 to the end of season 2, she hated Omni-Man. She was in a mental state to never forgive him for what he did on Earth, to the Guardians of the Globe, and most importantly, to his own son and wife. But by the end of season 3, she begrudgingly admitted that Omni-Man was making a comeback for her, and that she was finding his emotional growth to be interesting to see unfold. And I think this is a pretty common experience for viewers, because once you finished season 1, you pretty much viewed Omni-Man as the scum of the earth. But through incredible world building and fleshing out Viltrumite society more and more, you realize that Nolan isn't nearly as evil as people can get, and is actually slowly becoming more and more human. And when you contextualize everything, no, what he did on Earth isn't okay, but it is more understandable when you realize that he was indoctrinated into a violent cult for thousands of years essentially. So of course it's going to take him some time to fully accept his feelings and emotions as a human would. In fact, you could argue that he's making pretty decent progress, all things considered. And you simply can't tell me that a storyline that's capable of making such an evil character into a somewhat sympathetic and understandable one isn't beautifully written. While yes, the animation and power scaling could be better, Mark definitely is getting beat up a little bit too much by fodder villains this deep into the series, and there's certain moments like Doc Seismic just magically being able to defeat every superhero on Earth that feel contrived just to move the story forward. But the reason the show still succeeds on such a high level in spite of its flaws is because it tells one of the best superhero stories of all time. It is narratively brilliant and the height of superhero content. Well, if you made it this far, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Invincible. Do you love it? Do you hate it? And what made you start watching the show in the first place? I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please feel free to drop a like and subscribe for more Screen Stories content. Thank you for watching, and until next time, peace.